And the first question, as I know you've spoken about it, today you're going to Museum of Tolerance to promote your book, How We Survived, and talk about it. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. It's not really to promote the book. It's kind of an opening, the book just came out about a week ago. So they're going to have as many as they can of the 52 survivors that wrote chapters in this book. It's kind of nice because, each chapter is like 4 or 5 pages with pictures. So, and of course it comes from children that have survived from all over Europe. So it's kind of cool. I like it. My chapter, as I told you before, is already on my website.
Yeah.
So that's really neat.
Okay. So I'll just dive right into the main point.
Go for it.
And one specific question is, can you tell me why you devote so much of your time to retelling this story and making sure that everybody knows about the Holocaust?
Well, the old saying, we shall never forget. And unfortunately, people are forgetting it because atrocities have occurred throughout the world since the Holocaust. And the Holocaust was, 6 million Jews, 5 million non-Jews. That's 11 million civilian people that were killed during the Holocaust. If you compute that, since I'm a math teacher, that's like 7,500 people per day that were killed, civilians that were killed during the Holocaust.
So you mentioned something about recent atrocities or genocides. Do you know of any correlation? Do you think those that forget history are destined to repeat it is a true quote?
Well, I hope not. I'm a very positive guy, so I hope not. But not too long ago, I was on a panel with about 5 different people. I spoke about the Holocaust, and the other 4 spoke about different Holocausts in their culture. Like Rwanda, Armenian Holocaust. There were others, and some of these occurred after our Holocaust, the Jewish Holocaust. So it's, let's hope it never happens again. Certainly not 11 million people, but I think you'll continue to have many Holocausts because people don't know about it. People all over the world don't really know the terrible facts that happened during this 4-year time period.
Okay, now, just relating to YouTube videos, first of all, there's a lot of comments on there about people that deny the Holocaust, people that are fighting about it. One guy said, after the war, Jews have been committing and taking part in horrible crimes against humanity because the shroud of Holocaust. Because of the Holocaust, Jews have had immunity against consequences of crimes, and that immunity they've been using very eagerly. In my eyes, Jews are evil.
Well, that's kind of silly. You're going to find people, always find that 0.1%, these people that are jerks. Just remember, I am a primary source, right? I was there. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. You, because you've talked to me, are now a secondary source because you've talked to a primary source. So by you spreading the word, either through the video or whatever you do, you're already fulfilling that too. So anybody that denies it or doesn't believe in it, then you just need to talk to the survivors. The book we have is 52 of them wrote stories. There are probably at this point maybe 50,000 survivors still remaining throughout the world. So, here we are, still alive, we can tell the story.
Yeah. So somebody actually responded to that 2 days ago. There are people that debate back and forth. He said, a word to the wise is sufficient. Alas, there is no word for you. You pitiful excuse for a human. Now, what do you think if people are debating, do you support just people that are kind of trying to protect belief?
Well, I've spoken, of course, to schools all over the state, mostly, California, about the Holocaust, all the way from middle school to high school. And one of the questions I always seem to get, or quite often get, is how do I feel about the Germans? How do I feel about the Poles? How do I feel about these people? Well, I personally have no hatred towards them. My attitude has always been that way. I certainly do hate the people that did it, so don't mistake my statement. But at this point, or even 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I never really hated the Germans, the German people, or the Polish people that kind of participated in some of these acts.
Have you gone back?
Yes, I've been back many times. I actually have property in Poland, a couple of apartment buildings that one member of my family is in charge of right now for me. Yeah, we've been back. I took my whole family back about 4 years ago to show them the various cities where I was born, stuff like that.
Okay. And then there's a comment that also is on the internet. It's more upbeat. It says, we can prevent this from happening again or anything similar. Teach our children peace, stop hating for dumb reasons, and don't let yourself be easily influenced by the wrongdoings of others.
Right, that's a superb statement. It's exactly how I feel. That's what I was saying before. I never hated the people as a whole. I never hate any people as a whole. And we should continue to push that attitude throughout the world, obviously.
Okay, and then also, there's somebody that said this quote, and I want to see what you think about it, if it's too extreme. It says, one day there will be revenge. The Jews did not deserve that punishment. They did nothing wrong. Homes, lives, dreams destroyed. They just didn't deserve that treatment. God bless Jewish people.
Well, that's a true statement. We did not deserve it, for sure. My father, my family did not deserve to die at a young age. 1.5 million children were killed during the Holocaust. I'm just lucky, and I had a very brave mother, and combined with that, here I am. But, you know, it's hard to imagine what happened, and it's hopefully will never happen again, just like we say. And the Jewish people certainly did not deserve it, and they will never be a revenge. The most peaceful country in the world today is Israel, period. They're even peaceful against all those nations around them that would like to drive them into the sea. All they're looking for is peace and tranquility.
Do you think there was a video on YouTube about if the Jews pretty much control all of that area around Israel, it will be the most peaceful place in all of the world because the Jews accept all the other religions while the regimes of the other countries are more or less just focusing on their own religion and suppressing those below them.
That's right, exactly. No, that's true. The Jews accept. We accept. There's no question about it. We've always accepted and respect other religions or other people. And unfortunately, a lot of the Arab countries do not. And I don't think anything will ever change there. I think we're going to continue to be the small state of Israel, but and hopefully their hatred will disappear.
Okay. Then there's somebody that also mentions the other groups that were killed in the Holocaust are underrepresented. They said it was not just the Jews, gypsies, the mentally ill, and handicapped, communists, asocials, homosexuals, priests, and so on.
Yes.
Do you think that these people are underrepresented, or is there...
Well, no. As I mentioned way back at the beginning, there were 11 million people killed, civilians. Only 6 million were Jews. I should say only. 6 million of them were Jews. The 5 million were not. The reason it's such a tragedy for the Jews, you have to realize that the 6 million was like 50% almost of the Jewish population of the world, okay? The other 5 million is just as devastating, but that percentage was not significant worldwide. So that's why it's the Jewish Holocaust stands out as like, tremendously.
Okay, and then here it's obviously free to voice your own opinion. There's no imprisonment or, for example, in Germany, statues of Hitler are forbidden and his Nazi salute is illegal. And in Austria, if you even deny the Holocaust took place, they'll throw you in jail. Do you think that these two statements or, laws are a little extreme? Or do you think?
Well, this is where it started. So being a survivor and knowing what happened, I like that, to be honest with you. They got to suppress it because, it's always that small percentage of the people that are a little crazy, that like to do crazy things. I mean, we've had a Nazi group in America too. It didn't get anywhere. But over there, I'm kind of glad it's suppressed, that they did bad, really bad, during 39 and 45. Their people did, their grandparents, great-grandparents. So I'm kind of thankful that they have these tough laws.
Yesterday, speaking with many people in Santa Monica, I did run into some people from Europe, and they seem to be much more knowledgeable about the Holocaust, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Because, it's been experienced on their side. So do you think that regarding social networks today, is it possible for more people to learn about the Holocaust and easier than it used to be? Because thousands of years ago, genocides were occurring. But do you think because these social networks are around, it's possible to kind of reduce them because people can use?
Oh, sure. That's very true. In fact, Mr. Spielberg made 50,000 Shoah videos of us, the survivors. And all these videos are at the USC, your school, and all these videos at this point are accessible by many, many universities. And for example, a teacher in any school can simply put the computer on and show one of the videos. Or go to my website, put me on for a 5-6 minute video, or even an hour video if the kids want it that way. So yeah, it's a lot easier to push it, not just because of the social networks, I think generally because of the internet. And because of Spielberg did what he did, and what is being done by USC to promote this.
Okay. So I read about you also, what you did for your escape, which I found pretty interesting. Can you explain just the escape of it? I understand a lot of this stuff. So there's something about a train.
Yes.
And you said a railway car with an open roof.
Yeah. Well, we went. Yeah, this is a quick story because I know your video needs to be short. There was a Warsaw Uprising, not to be confused with the Ghetto Uprising. This was the Warsaw Uprising when the Polish underground, many of them Jews, rose up against the Germans as the Russians were coming. Well, the Russians stopped coming because they wanted these Polish leaders to be annihilated, killed. And so they rose up against, in Warsaw, the capital, hoping to take the capital, hoping the Russians would come in. The Russians didn't. So basically the Germans defeated this, took about 10 weeks actually. We were caught up in the middle of it. Then we were put on trains to Auschwitz. Here again, this was like 1944. So it's very likely that maybe we were the only Jews on that train. I don't know, but we knew what Auschwitz meant. And my mother kind of very cleverly waited till she finally saw a car that was open on top, one of these cattle cars open on top. I was pushed over. I opened the door. Fortunately, it was easy to open. We jumped out. None of the other people in the train, and that train left, and that car left, because they were not Jewish. They did not know what was going on. They didn't know they were going to get killed. They thought they were going to a camp to work. And we escaped. And my guess is all those people on that train, not just in that car that didn't escape, that whole train, probably were all killed. So that's one of those lucky things, We found an open car. I was able to open the door. Obviously, I wasn't that strong when I was 9 years old, but somehow did, and we escaped.
Okay, and then also there was something about you fitting under your mother's skirt.
Yeah, that was before that time when we were in the ghetto. This was way before. This is like 1941. We were in a ghetto in Stanislavov, which is now the Ukraine, and we were told that my mother found out that everybody in that ghetto was going to be killed within a few days. So she worked on the outside like most Jews her age did. They were marched outside to work, clean toilets, clean walls, clean floors, that kind of slave labor. So she decided we better escape if everybody's going to get killed. So I was under my mother's skirt, my brother was under her girlfriend's skirt. We got out, we hid all day in a kind of a closet. She came to get us at night and we escaped. And sure enough, 10 days later, everybody in that ghetto was killed, including my grandmother, uncles, and everybody else.
Okay, I can see you were very involved. No surprise. The whole. I'm sure you've told your story many times. Just rehearse it by heart. And just kind of towards the end, I don't think we're gonna get much longer. Just how would you sum up why you tell?
Well, I tell the story because, number one, I feel like everybody needs to know. It really upsets me when I hear you say that there are people out there, educated people, graduated high school, whatever, that don't know about the Holocaust. I mean, the Holocaust in America is taught like in the 7th grade and on. So the more people I can tell, the more people I make the secondary source that I was telling you about, since I'm a primary source. And secondary source means that if somebody tells them the Holocaust didn't happen, they can say, now wait a minute. They can say, wait a minute. I talked to a guy, I heard a guy talk, and he touched me, and he was right there. We hugged, I shook his hand, that was a survivor. Okay, so it did happen. So you see, these secondary source people that are obviously going to outlive the Holocaust survivors are going to be there for a long time. You, for example, will be telling your children maybe the story that you heard me, met me, and maybe your kids then will be not a secondary but another source of information because they heard it from you and you heard it from a survivor. So I think it's very important for me to go out there and tell as many people